Hey guys, so hello and welcome to Dec and Cam. On today's episode, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer Masterclass at the weekend against Southampton. Brilliant team selection. We've got Cavani being clinical as usual, and finally Edinson exposed for some interesting social media comments. So we'll come to all of that in the course of today's Dec and Cam. Hopefully you guys get your questions in as well. But where better to start? Brilliant comeback victory. The United way, as people would say, fantastic, exactly what we wanted to see. And to be honest, as far as I'm concerned, look, we won the game 3-2, but the 2 goals we conceded, set pieces, not the biggest of problems. So how did you assess the game, Dec? How did you feel it went?
United over the years have had a problem with getting lucky in games, papering over the cracks in games. But I think the scoreline massively flatters Southampton. I mean, it was probably the first game I can remember of us, pretty much absolutely deserving to win a game in the chances we created. The chances they created, which weren't very many, apart from set pieces aside. I just think that it was we were so unlucky to concede. I mean, the corner was a bit schoolboyish, a little bit schoolboyish. The fact that you've not got Harry Maguire marking anyone. I don't understand the zonal marking system. I don't know why we use it. We'll
come on to that in a second. I mean, looking, as you say, on the balance of chances, you look at expected goals. Obviously, United 2.5 XG, Southampton 0.5. Based on where the shot came from, as that says, we fully deserved to win that game. And if we hadn't, it would have been an embarrassment. But as you say, set pieces, zonal marking, that's what let us down. The first one, it's a corner. Look, people are trying to blame the coaching staff and all that for the set pieces or whatever. Look, as a coach, you can tell your players how you want them to defend. You can put the players in the positions. But at the end of the day, you've got to trust the players on the pitch to go out there and win that ball. Someone's got to be aggressive, especially in zonal marking, and make sure not just that your man doesn't get the ball, but if you're marking that zone, you've got to get rid of that ball and make sure that ball is not a threat in that zone. So whether it was Harry Maguire, whether it was Matic, whoever it was that was sort of marking that zone, didn't do their job. In terms of zonal marking, though, a lot of teams are using it now because, let's say, you haven't got a particularly tall team, and the likes of Guardiola's teams over the years haven't been particularly tall. So rather than man-to-man, which they're likely to lose to opposition because they're just simply not as big, zonal marking, you can have your bigger players trying to win the zones, use your small players to try and distract the opposition, put them off, just get a little bit of a hand on them, try and stop them winning that ball. And it does seem to work better if you don't have necessarily the biggest team or the team that's best in the air. So I think that's why a lot of teams are using it, and it can work well. Obviously, sometimes zonal marking does go wrong. It seems that United, though, we're not using zonal marking, we're not fully using man-to-man marking. It is a bit of a hybrid system. So we've got the zones that, if you look back at the corner, the zones actually seem fairly well sort of defined. There's a nice grid of United players around. And it seemed like the zones were set up well, the players in the right positions. We just didn't manage to win the ball in the zones. There wasn't that aggression to go and get rid of the ball, partly because it was a fantastic ball from Ward-Prowse. You've got to give them credit. And secondly, because the players just didn't get off the ground. Whatever that is, don't know. Players didn't get off the ground. Obviously, the hybrid system, you've got Rashford marking Bednarek, it looked like. He didn't stop Bednarek either, but it was just one of those goals. You can see those in the season. No team can stop conceding set-piece goals. It happens. That's football. The same with the second one. Fred probably shouldn't have given away a free kick on the edge of the box, but it's football at the end of the day. Oluyumi says, "Hello, man, Cam. Hi, mate. How are you doing? How are you? How's things? Did you enjoy the game yesterday? Great comeback victory. I'm sure you're buzzing. So, yeah. So, where to next, Dec? Obviously, as we're saying, didn't deserve to really concede those 2 goals. A fluke thing. It happens in football.
I mean, you just said it better than I probably can. Mason Greenwood, if he was a bit more sharp, he would have scored maybe 1, maybe 2 yesterday. I think, Rashford could have had about 4 if he really wanted to. Bruno could have added, an extra 1 or 2. Cavani could have had a hat-trick. I mean, we could have scored about 6 yesterday against that lot. But we just haven't had the finishing touch this season, have we?
I think we're getting, as you say, the conversion rate yesterday was shocking. I think we're getting into better form now in front of goal, slowly. And it will happen as players get their sharpness back. But, it's not just Cavani or Greenwood that have missed the odd chance, because Cavani did miss one as well, I think. But Greenwood should have scored twice in the first half. Martial of late's not been in great form in front of goal. Obviously, a really nice header against Istanbul, but other than that, we haven't seen anything from him in front of goal. Rashford's missed a few chances, and just the sharpness isn't quite there yet. So that's something that we've got to look to build into the coming weeks. And hopefully, as we get that, we can start to go on a run. I do genuinely believe now that United have got what it takes to go on the sort of run we saw towards the end of last season. Whether it's 8-9 games unbeaten, that sort of run. And you know what? We'll be either top of the league if we go on that sort of run, or very, very close. So it is looking bright. I mean, with the way the table is, with the way every team is dropping points this season. I mean, it's the first time for a long time that I can remember that this stage in the season, every team has already lost a game. And, you know, it shows how inconsistent the season's going to be. Anyone that can keep consistent run can challenge for the title.
I mean, like Leicester are getting beat right now, aren't they? 2-0.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what? It's Fulham.
Yeah,
Probably the worst team in the league this season. Maybe West Brom, but like, you can't explain results like that in a normal season. No. I mean, things happen occasionally, but when Fulham are 2-0 up at Leicester, like, how?
No. I think we have a real chance now, a real chance to stake a claim, and a real chance for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to put his name in the hat as a bit of a United. I mean, he's a legend anyway, but a proper statue outside the ground type of legend. If we won the league, I mean, any opposition, if we won the league this season, any opposition fan would say, there's an asterisk next to it because we had no pre-season, it's still part of COVID. I'd snatch your hands off now for it. I wouldn't care. Cam, would you care?
No, I mean, look, all those excuses will come out, obviously, because it's United, the most hated club in the land. But every single one of those excuses has hit us worse than any other team. The lack of pre-seasons hit us worse than pretty much any team. We started probably the worst of any team. We're languishing like 18th place for ages. So get it going. Get it coming now. Get the excuses in now, because if we go and win the league, I'll take that tomorrow. Yeah, happily.
100%. Oh, imagine. I mean, I still think we are going to finish third.
I mean, look, it's difficult. I think there'll be periods of the season where Liverpool and City go on runs, but look at Liverpool's injury list. It's not looking great. Look at how City are doing. They're really struggling for form. If United just can... Look, our squad right now, in terms of the players we've got fit, it's looking healthy. I mean, obviously, Pogba and McTominay out. So, I mean, given that, I could probably give you the lineup for PSG in midweek right now. And we'll come on to that in a second, because the midfield pivot will be Matic and Fred. We'll have the three at the back and, well, any two of the three forwards we've got, really. So, yeah, I mean, we can give you the lineup for PSG right now, but looking at the squad United have got, we've got a chance. We've just got to build the consistency. In terms of the way we started the game, I know a lot of fans were surprised to see possibly not the 4-2-3-1 that we're so used to with Solskjaer, but instead seeing the diamond shape. Were you surprised to see that come out on the team sheet, or were you maybe expecting that, maybe thinking that was a good decision before the game even started?
I kind of expected someone to get a little bit of a rest. I don't know if it was going to be Martial. Obviously, Martial was injured and ill. I don't think he was actually rested. I think maybe Rashford. Rashford might have been in line for a bit of a rest. I mean, he's played quite a few games recently. I think he played all against Başakşehir. I think I didn't expect him to play a diamond again, because he did play a diamond, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a diamond. I mean, I think as far as I'm concerned, it was a great decision. I mean, looking at the way Southampton play, they're 4-4-2. The biggest gaps, the biggest areas you can exploit in their team are the gap between the winger and the central midfielder. Because obviously Romeo and Ward-Prowse, they do sit deep, but when they push up, they do leave a little bit of a gap, especially when the whole team's pressing forwards. The wingers go forward, and there are those gaps down the sides. And what Solskjaer was able to do, was by getting the fullbacks high and wide, which we've been banging on about it all season. Get those fullbacks high and wide. But not just that. Doing that whilst having the diamond shape gave those two wingers for Southampton a really difficult choice to make. If they go and press us, they come forwards, and they go and sort of try and put pressure on United's fullbacks, then you're leaving Donny van der Beek and I think it was Fred on the other side of that midfield diamond. You're leaving them free, and you're giving them the ball in central areas. And if you do that for the likes of van der Beek and Fred, we'll get the ball forwards, we'll create chances. Alternatively, though, if the Southampton wingers tuck in, they mark Van der Beek and Fred, then you're leaving Tellez and Wan-Bissaka, who Wan-Bissaka maybe didn't contribute as much going forward, but just from being there, he gave them a decision to make. We've been saying it all season. Just get higher, give them a decision to make, and you see what results it had. Just from being in those positions,
you stretch
a lot harder for Southampton to defend. Exactly. You stretch them, gave the wingers 2 men to mark, and it gave us the opportunity to play both wide through Tellez in particular and in the middle. And that's where United had so much joy. And that's why, for me, look, it was a great tactical decision from Solskjaer. I just hope that he made that decision for that reason and not just because he thought, we played 4-2-3-1 recently. We'll just go with a diamond here, see what happens. I hope he made that decision for a reason, because if he did, it worked well. And we're seeing, Solskjaer in recent weeks, he's been better at setting up his team tactically to face a particular opponent. We know he can do it in the big games. And, when he faces a team that has a particular obvious style like Southampton do, maybe he is actually okay at setting his team up tactically to play against it.
I wonder if in 4, 5, 6 months' time, we're going to be looking back at the Everton game and that post-match interview where he says they will not have the pleasure of watching us lose again. I wonder if we look at that, if we look back on that and it gives us chills as we live 21.
If we look back on that and we haven't lost a game for the rest of the season in the league, oh wow! Like you said at the start, build a statue of the man.
Yeah,
it might be statue time.
It's just it's crazy the disrespect he gets. I mean, I've been on here and I've said he's a couple of games away from the sack. I mean, he just is, just because of how pressurized the United job is, and how Twitter is, and how the media is, and how the management of the club is in terms of the board. But he's not a bad manager, and I don't think there's a manager on planet Earth like him.
Look, his man management is clearly very good. I mean, the way he's dealt with players, whether it's Lukaku leaving, whether it's Sanchez, he's always treated the players with respect. He's the players seem to like him. They have his back. He doesn't normally criticise them in public too much. He's clearly good at that aspect of the game. The issue that I've had and a lot of, I think, other fans have had is his tactical aspect, is whether he's coaching the players properly. And it's that there are still, and we can't hide from it, there are still holes, there are still issues with the way he sends out the team. There are still things the team struggle with that we've struggled with doing all season. And yes, we may be showing signs slowly, really slowly of improving it, but it's not happening fast enough. Now, obviously, you can point to the fact, he's not got time on the training ground. He's not had a pre-season. He's got a game every 3 days. When you're in that sort of situation, there's no time to train. You can't do sort of drills to sort this out. You can't drill a team in sort of different aspects of the game. There's no time. The first day after the game is recovery. The second day is whoever's fit, you get out on the pitch and just take some touches, basically. I mean, I'm sure they'll do some defending set pieces, maybe some shadow play, that sort of stuff. But there really isn't time for detailed tactical play and working on progressing the ball and all that sort of stuff. There isn't time. So to be fair to Solskjaer, the improvements we're seeing are very slowly taking effect, and hopefully he can use this as a springboard. But again, as I said, we've seen this so many times. We've had a great result. Looks like Solskjaer's done something brilliantly, and then we go and get destroyed in the next game at the weekend. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully, finally, this can be the springboard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have to kick on from this now. I think we've got a little bit more dynamism in the midfield. I think Donny van de Beek has changed the way Ollie thinks about setting up his team now. I think he's going to give him a lot of trouble. I think he's going to give him headaches, because a lot of fans will want Donny van de Beek to play in every single game in a pivot, just because how good he was versus Başakşehir here, and how good he was in parts against Southampton. I mean, he did annoy me against Southampton. He kept trying to square the ball every time he should have shot, and it really annoyed me. And he gave the ball away a few times towards the end. I don't know if he was tired, but he can't play every single game in that position. We will get run over, absolutely steamrolled by a team with any type of midfield.
If we play Van de Beek, yeah, you're right. That can't happen. But looking ahead to PSG, look, Van de Beek has to play against PSG. Whether he comes off the bench, if we start I assume we'll start the same way we started against him in the first leg. 3 centre backs. Who the third one is a mystery. I think. Well, probably Axel realistically. So Axel, Maguire, and Lindelof in the back 3. It'll be Wan-Bissaka and Tellez as the wing backs, obviously. I think in the centre of midfield, the only players we've got fit at the moment are Matic and Fred. Obviously, Van de Beek can play there as well, but I don't see that happening. It'll be Fred and Matic. Ahead of them, obviously Bruno Fernandes plays. And I'm assuming it'll be a strike partnership up top. you pick two from Cavani, Rashford, Martial, Greenwood. Maybe Van der Beek if you want to be really defensive. I don't know.
I don't think Martial's going to be fit.
I mean, to be fair, I think Martial was in line to start against Southampton. So assuming he's not ill, which he may well still be, I can't see him not starting the game. So for me, I think it will be Martial and Cavani. I think, as you said, Rashford was in line for a rest. So I think he needs that.
He got sent home from training today after 10 minutes.
Martial?
Yeah.
Ah, right. So he's out as well.
So I'm pretty sure he might not be out, but he's definitely been given the rest of today off. He tried to come in today and he got sent home.
Well, okay. So looking at the options then, so it's Cavani, Rashford, and Greenwood that are available then for those forward roles. Obviously Ighalo as well, but I can't. You never know if Ighalo scores a hat trick against PSG. Ole special, man. Ole special. But yeah, we'll see. I think for me it'll be probably Cavani and Rashford. Given that, I think Greenwood, he may get a run out, but again, as I said in the tactical video yesterday, I don't think Greenwood's all-round game is anywhere near good enough yet to be starting in the front two. I think his sort of link-up play, his hold-up play, it's not quite there yet. He doesn't really know where he is positionally on the pitch in that front two. When he's really isolated without much service, I think he does sometimes struggle. So I think it'll be interesting to see who Ole goes with, and for me, probably it will be Cavani and Marcus Rashford, even though Rashford clearly, as I'm sure you're about to say, needs a rest.
Yeah, I think Marcus needs a rest. I think he needs to get a few things sorted out. I mean, his injury he isn't quite over his injuries, I don't think, and it's not just his back that's niggling him. You know, his shoulders are a little bit niggly for him, and I don't want him to be a player that almost Rooney, he burns himself out. He ends up like a Harry Kane, where every season's the inevitable 2-month injury, 3-month injury. I don't want that from Marcus Rashford. I also, if it was down to me, I would be playing Mason Greenwood and Cavani. That's what I would be playing personally. Mainly because I think our forwards are probably going to be living off scraps anyway. So
yeah, fair enough. So if he's not getting the service anyway, at least Greenwood, if he gets a chance and he doesn't have a bad day like Southampton, he'll probably bury it because Greenwood's a fantastic finisher.
Well, put it this way: if he played against PSG when we last played them, when we won 2-1, I do think he would have scored at least a brace with the chances Marcus Rashford had. I think Marcus had 4 decent chances to score, and I'm pretty sure Mason scores 2 of them, if not more. It's up to Ollie if he wants to risk him again. The fans have been doing my head in. I mean, you know this. I spoke to you about it. The criticism he's getting, he's the hype train. He's not that good. He's the next James Wilson. James Wilson was better than him. The Ravel Morrison ruining his career.
It's a disgrace. Like the fans on Greenwood again is an absolute disgrace. You can't defend that. Look, the lad's he's had a tough time recently. He's come back. He was okay against Southampton. He got into good positions. Obviously, he struggled a bit with his hold-up play and his link-up. But, he got into the positions, had the shots. He should have done better, but it was by no means like a 0 out of 10 from Greenwood. It was maybe a sort of a 4 or 5. And players are allowed a bad game every once in a while. I'm sure he'll bounce back from it. And, yeah.
Greenwood right now is simply, and I think it's this easy, he's not ready to start games again. He's lacking sharpness. He's lacking, like you said before, his game isn't completely up to scratch, especially not for playing as a not a split striker. I don't even think he was playing as a split striker, was he? Or was he?
Sort of. Basically, it was a front two. They were a lot narrower than they would be for split strikers, I guess.
I just think right now where his game's at, I think he suits coming on as a sub. I look at that Southampton side that were tiring. Cavani's 33, isn't he? Nearly 34 or 34 soon or whatever. Yeah. And I know he's got great movement, but did you see how quickly, and he's not the fastest bloke in the world, he ran between the lines of the defence so easily for that win header. I know Mason might not have made that run, but Mason's so quick that he could make runs similar to that, not even in the box, and cause them so much trouble, the same way Dan James could cause them a little bit of trouble off the bench. But Mason Greenwood against Başakşehir, I don't know if you thought the same. I thought he came on and he was electric.
Yeah, agreed.
He wanted the ball always. You know, he's a bit greedy, but I like that. He's always looking to score. I loved that he got his head up and passed it to James, even though I didn't want James to score, but at least United scored, so I'm happy. I'm just sick of some of our fans. They don't understand what we've got. We need to protect him.
Yeah.
We need to nurture him. And they need to understand that every single striker matures differently.
That's the important bit. Every striker is different. Now, obviously, you mentioned different strikers there. You mentioned Edinson Cavani. A quick one on this performance. Obviously, his movement in the box was absolutely brilliant. He scored 2 diving header goals. I mean, it's rare you see 1 diving header goal in the match nowadays. To see 2 from the same player and to come back from, 2-1 at that point to 3-2 up from diving header goals, fantastic from Cavani. It was what really else is there to say about it? He has a fantastic performance. He showed he's got everything United need. A striker with genuine good movement, an actual poacher who will sniff out chances in the box, move to the ball, find space for himself, and put the ball in the back of the net. And that's the important bit. We get the ball in shooting positions a lot, especially recently. We've got look at the expected goals in most of our recent games, and expected goals are sort of where you take the positions where you take shots from, the average value of shots taken from that position. So obviously when we've got a lot of expected goals in our past few games, suggests we're taking a lot of shots from good positions. But the important bit is Cavani, he works everything to put those shots in the back of the net. And Rashford and Martial, they may take shots from sort of further out, longer distances, 12, 15 yards, but they don't get close to goal. They don't throw themselves at it. And that's what Cavani's bringing that we're really missing. He was fantastic for me. And you know what? It was impressive to see as well, his defensive work rate, how he was often the deepest member of our midfield. He was tackling, he was moving the ball forwards, and he was sprinting to join the attack. He was everywhere in that game. And it's rare for a striker these days to be doing that. And it was really, really impressive from Edinson Cavani, from my perspective.
If you look at our first Scran Cam or the first stream I did with you, it might have been the second actually. I went on about not as long as 5 minutes, but say 3-4 minute rant on why Martial is brilliant for us up top. And you know what's coming, Cam, because I told you this yesterday. I couldn't see Anthony Martial scoring them goals. I think if you play him up front and them same 2 balls come in, I don't think he scores one of them. I don't.
No, but look, let's give them a bit of credit. Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, they're all young, and to an extent, they've all been rushed through into the first team, possibly before they're ready. Maybe that applies more to Rashford and Greenwood. I think Greenwood was just getting to the point where he was just far too good for under-23s football, but there are parts of his game that he hasn't developed enough yet for first team. Whereas Rashford, for me, there's still big parts of his game. He's far too raw. He's erratic technically still. His decision-making needs to improve, and it will come with time, and he'll become a really, really good player. But as you say, all of them, they can learn a thing off Cavani. And sometimes with these sorts of things, having Cavani in that team, it could be genuinely eye-opening for them. They may actually find, you know what? I didn't realise that was a thing. I didn't realise strikers moved like that. I didn't realise that was possible. And now they see it. Maybe it'll put that thought in their mind, that little seed, and they'll be in training, they'll practice it.
Is Martial a striker, Cam?
Is Martial a clinical poacher number 9 like Edinson Cavani? No.
Is he the striker United need?
He's the striker United need if Rashford becomes a better finisher and Greenwood is a proper inside forward on the other side. Look, it's nice to have. I'm dodging that question. It's nice to have options.
Politician.
Yeah, it's nice to have the options, but I think at the moment it's just nice because we've got Martial's out of form. We can bring in Cavani, different types of strikers, giving us different things. And look, hopefully, Rashford, and Greenwood can learn off that, and they can get there as well.
Here's a point, very Ricky-esque of me. This point, my point is that Martial is still in the team off the left, so we are going to still make them chances. And he's probably going to make more chances for someone else off the left than the chances he'd get from being in the middle. Do you get what I mean? So automatically, personally, I think whoever's in the middle is going to benefit from just Martial being around them anyway.
And also, to be fair, Martial's time in the playing through the middle might actually benefit him when he's on the left as well. So he does get into the box more. He's more willing to compete, fight against fullbacks for headers and stuff. And look, whilst he may not be the best at sort of heading the ball up against centre-backs, when he's up against fullbacks, so they're normally smaller, normally less physical, not quite as good in the air. Maybe if he's one-on-one with fullbacks on the back post, he'll be able to get more joy from headers, so he might look better in the air. So maybe actually, Cavani through the middle, Martial on the left, and one of Rashford or Mason Greenwood on the right. Even Dan James, give him a bit of credit. It looks like he's slowly getting back into form. He scored a goal. I know maybe obviously you're not the big fan of number 21, but maybe Dan James can offer something as a substitute option off the left with Rashford starting on the right. So we'll see what happens. But Martial on the left. Shout.
I only joke. I mean, he's only a young player, and he's very, very raw as Dan James. I just Cam. I mean, people who are watching this, they probably think I've never kicked a ball in my life. But when I did play, I was a striker.
Lethal striker.
Quite lethal, actually. And to think that I think I can tell a good striker, right? I thought Martial was a good striker. And seeing them goals yesterday from Cavani made me realise again what we were missing. And to quote one of my friends, he said, who supports Liverpool, he said, we need a player like Cavani who's willing to get his head, his arse, his knob on a ball to score. That is what we're missing. That's what they're missing, and that's what we've been missing. I've not seen a striker since Zlatan, obviously, because he is a good finisher, but with the movement as well. I've not seen a player like since Van Persie have that type of.
Exactly. We haven't realised what we're missing until we've had it brought back into the squad. It does make a huge difference. It's just the extra 5-10 goals a season you can get. But look, if we want a player that can do the link up like Anthony Martial and does everything sort of poaching like Edinson Cavani.
No, Harry Kane.
You knew what was coming, yeah. He is the one. He's the one. Go and get Harry Kane.
He's going to cost you 225 million.
225 million to win every trophy there is to win in football.
Would we, though? He'd probably, it's our luck, we'd sign him. He'd say something in the press and get injured for 6 years.
Yeah, true. I wouldn't be surprised. But look, if you want, you're talking about strikers we want. There's massive good aspects to Anthony Martial that we do like seeing from him at striker. Edinson Cavani showed us what a true striker should be in and around that 6-yard box. Rolled into one, you get Harry Kane. Maybe not as quick as Martial, but he is Cavani's best attributes and Martial's best attributes in one player. Cost 200 million. It's a lot of money for one player, obviously. But, it's worth it.
I don't rate Harry Kane.
There's not a chance he's leaving Spurs. I've got to be honest, there's not a chance he's leaving Spurs, especially under Jose now, when they actually look like they could go and win something. But when everything all goes wrong under Jose, give it another season. When things start to go wrong under Mourinho, Harry Kane might all of a sudden have his head turned by United. He might be like, well, look, I've tried it for enough years under Pochettino. I've been at Spurs under Jose Mourinho, one of the best managers in the history of football. It's not worked out at Spurs.
Why don't we just go for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for Ole Gunnar Ball? Freestyle Ollie. Ole Gunnar freestyle?
Yeah.
He's not coming. I tell you, we need to get Harry Winks. That's who we need to get from top.
If we're signing one English Harry from Spurs and it's not Harry Kane,
it's definitely going to be Harry Winks.
The Glazers need the head checking if they're signing that off. Jesus.
I just maybe that's probably what Joel Glazer thinks. He probably thinks, yes, we've signed them 30 million for Harry Winks. Oh my God, he's England's best striker.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, there's rumours he thought Martial was United's Pele a while back, which is why he wasn't allowing Mourinho to sell him, which was, that was interesting to read in the press.
I'm glad Mourinho didn't sell him.
No, I think that would have been a mistake. Getting Perisic in for Martial.
I also kind of think that I also kind of think though that Mourinho's often really right, isn't he? In the end, he's often right. Luke Shaw, in the end, he's right.
Yep. The number of people I still see defending Luke Shaw saying he's a fantastic left back. We've got a proper left back now. We've got a left back that doesn't need to be told what to do. A left back that knows and is able to actually just off their own back, put in the effort, run 10 yards. Luke Shaw doesn't do it unless unless the ball is played ahead of him into space for him to run onto, he won't move. So now we've got a proper left back, he's going to have to see and have to raise his game. Look, Mourinho, as you say, he is often right and proven to be again with Luke Shaw. Now, the final thing, one of the things I do want to talk about is this this whole sort of Edinson exposed stuff, this social media stuff. Obviously, he's left a comment. Some people aren't very happy about it. It's probably a term that people would find offensive in different parts of the world, arguably. But from where he's from what I've heard, it basically just means mate, brother, friend. The same thing we'd say. So I've got to be honest, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I think he'll get a 1-game ban. I'm not entirely sure it's deserved, to be honest. Where do you stand on that one, Dec?
I mean, I'm a straight white male. I haven't really got a lot of authority when it comes to stuff like this. But in my opinion, I believe that people that comparing it to Suarez are stupid.
Yeah.
Suarez was obviously not Evra's mate. He obviously wasn't trying to support him or say thank you like Cavani. It was a post that Fred put up, was it?
I think so, yeah. No, I think it was one of his mates from back home.
Oh, was it one of his mates from back home?
Yeah.
Something they said El Matador, didn't they, or whatever, and then he put it up.
Yeah.
I think it's blown out of proportion. I do think maybe that there should be some education for him to say, look, this isn't the type of this isn't how you talk, in England. It's okay where you are, obviously, but that means something completely different here, and it can be easily misconstrued. But what I don't like, and this is something that I've seen Mark talk about before, is the fact that if someone is offended by it, just one person, apparently that's enough. For me, I think that's absolutely stupid, especially someone who comes from a background of comedy where people like me and in my industry are meant to walk and tread that line of offence. Like, I'm not going to be Ricky Gervais and say, "Oh, it's your fault if you get offended," because I'm not that much of an idiot. But I think it's very dangerous when you start talking like that. So, like, for example, Cam, I could say something to you now, and if one person is offended by that in the comments, they take all context away from it. They could get me in trouble. Even if I don't say something that really in super, well, not in super, but in real context as I've said it, is bad. I mean, you look at that that pug video. Do you remember that pug video, the Nazi pug video, and the guy got taken to court for it? I think it's just crazy sometimes where we are, and I think context is huge. And in the context Cavani was using, he was saying thank you to his mate from back home.
Yeah, so I think, as you said, as you basically alluded to, I think it has been blown out of proportion a little bit. I'm disappointed to see sort of the extent. I think you are right. Maybe it's worth, and maybe he does need to hear that, maybe don't say that in England because people won't take it too well. But like, he didn't mean it in an offensive way. I think it is a little bit harsh to sort of give him sort of a massive fine and let's say a 10-game ban. I think with the way things can happen with the FA, I think he may well get a 1-game ban, or either that or a fairly significant fine. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I think you're right. It has been blown out of proportion. Now, obviously, next game coming up, PSG. United need 1 point to go through from the remaining 2 group matches. So how do you see this one going? What are you expecting from the game? Predictions for PSG game?
We lose 2-0.
Fair enough. Personally,
that's the place to end it. So no, I'm only joking.
I mean, losing 2-0, it's a prediction. I think that it's possible. It's a really weird one because I think at home we could maybe, if we're too arrogant, we're too confident, we start with that diamond that we finished the game off last time against PSG. We could struggle because their front three have all got the individual quality to cause us problems. And look, if Mbappe and Neymar are playing on the break against Lindelof and Maguire, and we're getting our players high up the pitch, we could really struggle. I mean, you saw what Thomas Tuchel said, as I'm sure you're probably going to bring up. He said, look, because I think PSG is struggling with injuries. He's saying, as they did in Leipzig, they're prepared to play very deep at Old Trafford. If they do that against us, we could be in trouble on the break, and Mbappe and Neymar are probably 2 of the best players in the world on a counter. So look, we could well concede goals. For me, I think we're going to just scrape it. I think I'm going to go with a 3-2 victory again, just like Southampton, because I think we will genuinely create chances. I think PSG's midfield and defence is nowhere near the level of their attack. And to be honest, I think if they're trying to win the Champions League, firstly, they need a league that's more competitive, so they're used to playing at a higher level. But secondly, they need to sort out the midfield and defence. So, look, for me, I think we'll win that game 3-2. So Arsene Majid says, KDB or Bruno? Look, right now, I'm going to answer this one. I think Dec will have the same opinion. Right now, there's no midfielder in world football, attacking midfielder at least, that I would take over Bruno Fernandes. He's got pretty much a goal contribution in every game for his last 34, 35 games. You don't see that. That just doesn't happen. That doesn't happen for strikers. Even sort of the heyday of sort of Ronaldo, Messi, that's the sort of level they were at. And they're forward players. This is Bruno Fernandes. He's a midfielder. It's just ridiculous, the numbers he's getting, the way he's playing. And just not just that, the arrogance he brings to the team, the swagger, the confidence. Top player, Bruno Fernandes. So for me, yeah, Bruno Fernandes all day long. Up to you, Dec. What? I'm assuming you're the same.
I think I'm going to go for Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no other option. If anyone else has got anything else you want to add in the comments, do let us know. But yeah, I think until then, I guess I'll see you guys on post-match PSG, and hopefully we'll have the Dec and Cam post-game as well. So until then, it's been a pleasure. So see you guys on Wednesday night, and look forward to United PSG. Have fun and take care. Cheers, Dec. It's been good, and see you guys very soon.
See ya.